Welcome to another video lesson on transcription. So, we have already seen an introduction to transcription in eukaryotes. So, this is a continuation of that lesson. Here we will be seeing the stages in the transcription of eukaryotes, starting from initiation, elongation, and up to termination. So, as already mentioned in the previous class, RNA polymerase has got only one type of RNA polymerase in prokaryotes, whereas in eukaryotes we have several RNA polymerases, each for a separate set of RNAs. So it would be useful to know that there are at least 3 known RNA polymerases in eukaryotes. Of these 3, the one which is most significant happens to be mRNA, RNA polymerase 2, which codes for mRNA. Why? Because obviously mRNA is the one that is going to get carried over to translation. So mRNA is produced from protein coding genes, and therefore it gains more importance. And it might also be noted that there are, other than mRNA, there are several types of RNAs seen in eukaryotes, such as the snRNA, snORNA, that is small nuclear RNA, nucleolar RNA, and microRNAs. There are different types of RNAs, and each of them have a separate role in an eukaryotic system. It would be interesting to explore that as a self-explanatory topic if the students are interested. So now we are going to go into the details of transcription with RNA polymerase 2. So there are recognition sequences. We have already seen that there are recognition sequences in the upstream region of the gene in a prokaryote. So there we call it Pribnow box. Here we have a similar set of sequences. So their role is to serve as binding sites for the proteins involved in transcription, be it in prokaryotes or eukaryotes. The recognition sequences play a role in offering a binding site for the transcription factors, that is the proteins which assist the process of transcription, and also they serve as a binding site for the chief transcription enzyme RNA polymerase. So without a recognition sequence, the enzymes involved in transcription may not know where to begin and where to end the process of transcription. DNA is a very long polynucleotide, and where a gene is present is marked by the presence of these sequences, and they are therefore called recognition sequences. So this recognition sequences is a general term. Among this, specifically, we call the binding site for the enzymes and proteins of transcription as promoters. They promote the process of transcription. In their absence, it is not possible for a RNA polymerase enzyme to identify the location of a gene. Therefore, they are called promoters. So several promoters are involved in the transcription of a single gene. Unlike prokaryotes, here eukaryotes have several promoter regions. All of them together constitute the recognition sequence in a eukaryotic system. The number of promoter regions is greater. The number of sequences involved in recognition are more in number. So of these several sequences, one is called the core promoter or base promoter. So you have one core promoter and several other promoters. They are collectively called upstream promoter elements or UPE. So offering the binding location for transcription factors. So when we say transcription factors, please remember we are referring to the n number of proteins which are involved in transcription. The term factor refers to proteins involved in transcription, not necessarily enzymes, they are proteins. So, and of these promoters, the core promoter itself is made up of two regions. One lies at -25 region, the other lies near the transcription start site. So when we talk about the DNA molecule, DNA being a double-stranded molecule, the transcription start site, this point from where mRNAs are going to be added is called transcription start site, and that is denoted as +1. That is where the actual process of transcription begins, and anything that lies after +1 site is called downstream sequence. Anything that lies before the +1 start site is called upstream sequence. So usually all these recognition sequences are present upstream of the transcription start site because RNA polymerase needs to be made ready along with the other factors before starting the process of transcription. So the upstream region of the transcription start site is what we have, is where we have the promoter regions. So of that, the most significant happens to be -25 region. That is, it is located 25 base pairs upstream of the +1 site. That's what it means. So at -25, we have something called the Tata box. It is not, the name Tata is referring to a TA rich region. We have two sequences, TA, thymine, two adenines and two thymines alternatingly, and that is why it is called Tata box. And this is the consensus sequence of Tata box. When we say consensus sequence, I've already mentioned, I think, it means it is a conserved region, conserved sequence. It means this sequence is found to be the same or more or less the same across different genes in the same organism or across different organisms of a particular family or a particular phylum. So such that type of sequence which is found to be the same is called consensus sequence. It means it is conserved. Okay. So this is a first consensus sequence which we see. So this is part of the core promoter TATAW AAR, where W can be A or T and R can be A or T. This variation can be found. One or two bases may vary, but other than that, most of the sequence is conserved. That's why we call it consensus. And one sequence is found near the transcription start site, and that is YCANTYY, where Y can be C or T and N can be any nucleotide. So these are the core promoters of eukaryotes. So this is found in most of the eukaryotes. The same sequence is found, and we call it a consensus sequence. Other than this, there are several upstream promoter elements. So what happens during initiation of transcription is the pre-initiation complex is formed first, and that pre-initiation complex involves several transcription factors. So there are several transcription factors. So all those transcription factors will come and assemble near the promoter region of the gene. So this forms the pre-initiation complex. So after that, two stages happen, two processes happen. One is called promoter clearance and the other is called promoter escape. And these two are very significant in eukaryotic transcription. We will see about them in detail. So first, the transcription factors. There are several transcription factors. A few have been listed here. Further, it can be explored as a self-learning process. There are several transcription factors are involved. So some of the significant ones include Tata binding proteins, TBPs, Tata binding protein associated factors, TAF. Okay, and then transcription factor 2A, transcription factor 2B, transcription factor 2F, transcription factor 2EH. Okay, so each of these transcription factors perform a distinct role in the process of transcription. There are TBPs and TAFs, and TF2A stabilizes these two TBPs and TAFs. Then TF2E recruits TFH. TFH acts as a helicase. It opens up the DNA molecule. So like this, we have several transcription factors, each performing its own function in the process of transcription initiation. So promoter clearance and promoter escape. So what we are talking about here is, first, these initiation factors come and bind to the promoter, and after the initiation factors are completely assembled, they signal to the RNA polymerase enzyme. The enzyme comes only later. So after the assembly of initiation factors, RNA polymerase 2 comes and binds to the promoter. So after binding of the enzyme to the promoter, it gets activated by phosphorylation. Like any other enzyme, activation happens. Activation leads to some conformational changes, and that makes the enzyme functional. So the RNA polymerase 2 gets activated by phosphorylation of its C-terminal domain, which has been abbreviated as CTD. So the C-terminal domain gets phosphorylated and it leads to the activation of RNA polymerase. Once RNA polymerase is activated, up to this point, the DNA molecule or the gene, all these things are happening on the DNA molecule, right? So this DNA molecule, being a double-stranded molecule, is like this, parallelly aligned. It is closed. So once RNA polymerase is activated, it becomes an open molecule. The hydrogen bonds between the bases are broken, and an opening is created. The DNA is melted, and an opening is created. A transcription bubble-like structure is formed. So after this process happens, we call it promoter clearance. That is not only opening of the DNA molecule, the DNA molecule gets opened, and what happens is the transcription process is started. The transcription process is started, and around 10 to 12 base pairs, which is very small. 10 to 12 is a very small number. So 10 to 12 base pairs of mRNA is first synthesized. A primary pre-mRNA transcript is started, and a very short fragment of it, which is around 10 base pairs long, is made. So up to this point, we call it promoter clearance. So during this process, the DNA molecule, which is lying parallelly, is bulged to form a bubble-like structure. RNA polymerase is activated. Since the RNA polymerase is activated, now it starts the process of transcription. It moves away from the promoter and it starts transcribing the DNA. And it starts making mRNA molecule, which is around 10 base pairs long, near the transcription start site. So to this point, it is called promoter clearance. The RNA polymerase, which was originally bound to the promoter region, has moved away from the promoter and has started transcribing. So it's called promoter clearance. After this, there is a small pause. This transcription initiation complex undergoes a small pause. It pauses, and what happens now is this nascent mRNA. The nascent mRNA, nascent means new. The mRNA which has been newly synthesized, this short 10 to 12 base pair long mRNA which is synthesized, undergoes capping. This process we have already seen. We have mentioned this in the previous class. 5' capping, 3' polyadenylation, and splicing are the three unique characteristics of eukaryotic mRNA. Eukaryotic mRNA is what has these three processes. It undergoes these three processes, which is completely absent in a prokaryotic system. So of this addition of a 7-methyl guanosine cap to the 5' end of the mRNA molecule happens during the promoter clearance process. Soon after promoter clearance happens, this 5' capping of the nascent mRNA takes place. So only if the 5' capping is successfully completed, then the transcription complex becomes ready for elongation of this mRNA transcript all along the rest of the way up to the terminator sequence. So the next step after this 5' capping is successfully done, we are not going into the details of 5' capping. We will deal with that in a separate lesson. It would be too much to deal with it now. So likewise, we have these. So this is the this is the Chata box located near the -30 region. This is the transcription start site, and downstream of the transcription start site, we have the actual gene. Okay. Upstream of this region, we have -30 site, and there may be other upstream promoter elements as well. So all these proteins which we were talking about, TPB, TF2, all these proteins are coming and binding to this recognition site. This core promoter region is being occupied by all these proteins. So after these proteins come and bind, see, these many proteins need to bind. And only after that, the RNA polymerase comes and recognizes that promoter at all. And then it comes and binds to the promoter. So this marks the promoter clearance part, where the RNA polymerase is bound, it is activated, and it starts transcribing from here. So this is what we call promoter clearance. Okay, and after promoter clearance, it starts making a transcript which is only around 12 base pairs long, and after that, RNA polymerase undergoes a pause. See, there is RNA polymerase, the C-terminal domain is activated, RNA polymerase begins to move. So it moves away from the promoter region, okay, and it starts making an mRNA molecule. See, this mRNA is already, this pink line indicates the nascent mRNA. Nascent means new mRNA which is in the process of being constructed, the process of being synthesized is a new mRNA. We'll call it nascent mRNA. This pink line indicates a nascent mRNA. And the next step is not elongation. It is where there is a pausing of the polymerase activity to allow 5' capping. This 5' capping is accomplished before this polymerase 2 proceeds to elongating that mRNA transfer. The reason why this is happening is this has a significance in termination of transcription, one thing. The other thing is RNA transcription of mRNA or any RNA for that matter in a eukaryotic system is much more challenging than a prokaryotic system. The reason being the sheer length of the DNA that needs to be transferred. The DNA molecule is so long. The gene has got gene itself is long, and it has got introns in addition to that. So the transcription process takes a lot of time. It takes several hours as opposed to the few minutes of transcription that happens in a prokaryote. So this long duration of transcription is a great challenge. So all this process, until this process is completed, this RNA polymerase and protein complex needs to be stable. So for these reasons, the cell is making sure that the RNA polymerase and its associated proteins are really ready for the process of transcription. So they permit transcription only after this promoter clearance has been successfully achieved. The promoter clearance has to be achieved and 5' capping has to be done. And only after that, the RNA polymerase and its associated proteins begin to move along the DNA molecule. They actually start a full-fledged process of transcription only after that. So this is the elongation process. The elongation process is nothing but addition of new mRNA molecules to the growing nascent polypeptide by the action of RNA polymerase II using the DNA gene as template. So the transcription bubble is maintained in this form. It is maintained up to the end of the transcription process. So the transcription bubble, this is how it looks like. You have the template strand, and the template strand, the transcription bubble is opened up to a length of about 25 base pairs. Of these, only 8 or 9 bases are actually in the form of a hybrid, DNA RNA hybrid. Around 8 base pairs are in the form of a DNA RNA hybrid. There is DNA template and there is the mRNA which is attached to it, which has been newly added to the DNA using DNA as template. So a short stretch is a RNA DNA hybrid, and then upstream of this side we have the new mRNA transcript which is hanging outside the mRNA, outside the transcription bubble, and transcription happens in this direction, 5', 3' direction. So this way the transcription bubble moves along the length of the entire DNA molecule, along the entire stretch of the gene up to the terminator sequence is reached. So how termination happens before that, before going into the process of termination, we have already seen that in a eukaryotic system there are something called histones, DNA binding proteins. Their role is to compact the DNA. Eukaryotic DNA is very long and it needs to be compacted inside the nucleus, and for this purpose there are histone proteins. So the presence of histone proteins is an interference to the process of transcription. It interferes with transcription. So there are special proteins in eukaryotic system that interact with these histone proteins and loosen up the DNA molecule so that transcription or replication can be carried out. So only during transcription and replication, this DNA molecule is loosened up so that it can interact with the transcription factors or RNA polymerase, or during replication, this DNA interacts with DNA polymerase. So to make room for the process of transcription or replication to happen, these DNA molecules are unwound occasionally as and when needed from the histone proteins. At all other times, they are bound and compacted by the histones. So what are the proteins involved in dealing with the disassembly of histone proteins during transcription? So there are several proteins, again here several proteins are involved. Two of the significant proteins include, the most significant protein involved is FACT. It's called FACT because it facilitates chromatin transcription. So it's called FACT. It is a dimeric protein. So the role of FACT is to disassemble the nucleosome. Histones are present in the form of nucleosome. A histone is found in the form of an octamer, a complex of 8 proteins. So this octameric histone wound with the DNA. DNA is wound around this octameric structure. So this unit is called a nucleosome. Several nucleosomes form more or less like a bead on a string structure, and then they get compacted. So these details can be studied in detail if the students are interested under the title Organization of the Genetic Material. You will find it in any good molecular biology book. So if you go in there, you can find how this DNA is compacted into a chromosome or a chromatin. Okay, so this FACT protein is what is involved in the disassembly of the nucleosome. It removes 2 out of the 8 histones, that is H2A and H2B are removed from the octamer, and it makes room, sufficient space is created for the transcription complex to move along the DNA. So it loosens up the DNA wrapped around the nucleosome so that the RNA polymerase can transcribe through it. And FACT not only disassembles the nucleosome, it reassembles the nucleosome after transcription complex moves away. So that is also very important. And then RNA polymerase continues to elongate the mRNA on the other side. So this is to give an idea of how it looks. These are histone octamers, and the DNA wound around it in the form of a nucleosome. This nucleosome, upon getting loosened up, appears something like this. Okay. So termination of transcription. So termination happens in case of eukaryotes. It happens anywhere from a few base pairs to a few thousands of base pairs past the actual end of a gene. So it's not like a prokaryotic system. There we have specific terminator sequences. A hairpin loop structure is formed. It slows down the RNA polymerase there. And then we have something called Rho protein, Rho dependent, Rho independent terminations happen. So that is a different system. Here, actually, the RNA polymerase continues to make mRNA molecules even past the terminator region, past the end of the gene. It simply keeps going. Sometimes few hundreds of base pairs are made, sometimes a few thousands of base pairs are made. So the RNA polymerase simply continues to transcribe the mRNA even past the last mRNA nucleotide that needs to be made. And after that, a separate proteins are involved in cutting off this mRNA transcript. The nascent mRNA is cut off at the specific site, and it is cut off and cleaved and removed from the growing mRNA transcript. And only after that, RNA polymerase stops transcribing. So this process involves, so we will deal with this and go to the image. So the sequences involved in signaling the end of a gene include this AU rich region, AAUAAA, this sequence, and a GU rich region. So these two sequences act as the signal sequences that signal the end of a gene. So these two sequences are present around 40 to 60 nucleotides apart. So we have, first we have AAUAA sequence, then around 40 nucleotides later we have a GU rich region, and somewhere in between these two we have a dinucleotide 5' CA3 prime, a CA dinucleotide is present. So this sequence acts as a signal sequence. So what happens is this sequence is located on the template DNA, and after this sequence is completely transcribed, so you can see this sequence. So this is not the DNA, this is actually the mRNA. So after this sequence is completely transcribed, uh, after transcription is over, these proteins, the CPSF and CSTF, PAP, these are all the proteins involved in termination of transcription. There are several proteins, as you can see in the image. It is a complex process. So two of the most significant proteins include CPSF, that is cleavage and polyadenylation specificity factor, and CSTF, cleavage stimulation factor. So these proteins along with poly A polymerase. Poly A polymerase is an enzyme involved in addition of poly A tail to the 3' end. It is a template independent RNA polymerase. It doesn't need a template. It can simply add polyase. It can simply add adenines to the 3' end of a mRNA molecule. So these three proteins are involved in terminating of transcription. So what they do is they bind to the specific regions. These proteins bind to these signal regions after transcription is over. So these proteins bind on the mRNA. They don't bind on the DNA. So transcription happens. The RNA polymerase transcription complex moves beyond these signal sequences. They transcribe these regions and they simply go further away. Then this mRNA transcript, nascent mRNA transcript, has got these signal sequences. So they invite the binding of these proteins, these CPSF, PAP, and CSTF, and several other proteins involved in termination of transcription. So these proteins come and bind to this nascent mRNA, and they cleave this mRNA from the growing mRNA transcript somewhere in between this AA-UAA sequence and GU-rich region. Somewhere in between, this mRNA is cut off from the growing nascent mRNA strand, and poly A polymerase starts adding adenines to the free 3' end. So this shows the significance of capping the 5' end of the mRNA molecule in the first step itself, because these proteins, these poly A polymerases and other proteins involved in termination would likely tamper with the mRNA if it wasn't capped safely before, because this termination process involves not slowing down the RNA polymerase, but cleaving off the nascent mRNA before RNA polymerase stops transcribing. So this is how transcription termination happens. These CPSF proteins and CSTF proteins and poly A polymerases together bind on the recognition sequences on the mRNA, and they cut off the mRNA from the growing mRNA, nascent mRNA chain somewhere in between these two sequences, that is AA, UAA and GU-rich region, and the mRNA gets cut off from the RNA polymerase complex. So this mRNA which gets cut off has a free 3' end, and on this free 3' end, this poly A polymerase adds polyadenines and performs the function of polyadenylation, addition of a poly A tail. So this finishes off the nascent mRNA. The nascent mRNA is now called a pre-mRNA because it is having a 5' cap and a 3' tail. It needs only to undergo intron splicing. So what happens to the RNA polymerase which is continuously transcribing the gene beyond the point of transcription. It keeps going. So what happens is, as we were already saying, we have the DNA molecule, we have the RNA, what do you call it? RNA complex, RNA polymerase complex bound like this. It keeps going on transcribing the DNA even after the actual mRNA is cut off. So this mRNA, which is lagging, after this 3' end of the mRNA is cut off, the nascent mRNA is still remaining. Whatever is transcribed after the cleavage of the actual mRNA will be still remaining attached to the RNA polymerase enzyme complex. So that overhanging nascent mRNA gets digested by what is called a 5' exonuclease. In human beings, it's called XRN2. So 5' exonuclease activity is performed by an enzyme which cuts off this 5' end, which is now overhanging along with the RNA polymerase complex, which is moving. After the mRNA, nascent mRNA, the pre-mRNA is cut off from its transcription complex. This overhanging mRNA is now present, and it keeps elongating that overhanging mRNA and it keeps transcribing. So this overhanging mRNA's 5' end is not having any protection. There is no 5' cap. So 5' exonuclease can come and act on it. It cuts off the 5' end of this growing mRNA. So as the RNA polymerase keeps moving, this exonuclease also keeps moving along with that RNA polymerase. At a point, these two will meet. This exonuclease and RNA polymerase will catch up with each other. So once they catch up with each other, RNA polymerase, this acts as a signal for RNA polymerase to disengage from the DNA. So once the 5' exonuclease activity of this enzyme breaks down these mRNA molecules, nascent mRNA from the 5' end, at a point it catches up with the moving RNA polymerase. And when RNA polymerase and exonuclease meet, RNA polymerase understands that it is time to stop transcribing. The pre-mRNA has already been cleaved by this time. So it's time to stop transcribing and disengage from the DNA. So that's how it happens. So this is the process of transcription in eukaryotes. I've given a link here. This is a link to a review article. It was very interesting, very good article on these RNA polymerase, RNA transcription of mRNA in eukaryotes, particularly on the concepts of promoter clearance and promoter escape. So if interested candidates can go through that. So that's the end of this video lesson. We will look into the details of 5' capping and other post-transcriptional modifications in the next lesson. Thank you.